Can you imagine how a small group of soldiers could face thousands of opponents and win? Yes, that's right. The Battle of Hodol is one of the most unbelievable stories that has gone down in legend. But before I tell you how the Poles managed to turn the tide of this battle, you need to understand why it took place in the first place. What exactly made the Tatars retreat, despite their overwhelming advantage? I guarantee the truth will surprise you. Discover the secret of this epic battle and find out what really tipped the scales of victory. Picture this. You're in a tiny village with just a handful of people living there. Suddenly, an enormous army appears from all sides, not only ready to attack you but to wipe you off the face of the earth. Sounds like an action movie, doesn't it? But this isn't a Hollywood script. This is the Battle of Hodów, the moment when a handful of Polish soldiers faced thousands of enemies and won. But before I tell you how it all went down, you need to understand why this extraordinary fight took place at all. In the 17th century, Poland was repeatedly attacked. Neighbors on all sides were trying to grab a piece of its territory. The Tatars from Crimea were particularly active, barging in like uninvited guests, taking whatever they could and leaving chaos behind. Why? The Tatars were allied with the Ottoman Empire, and at that time, Turkey aspired to dominate Europe. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth was an obstacle they needed to remove. On top of that, the Polish nobility wasn't keen on maintaining a standing army. Why do we need a regular army when we have the Hussars, they thought? And yes, the Hussars were nearly unbeatable, but they numbered only a few thousand soldiers. Meanwhile, the Tatars could field tens of thousands of warriors. For ordinary peasants or townspeople, the Tatars were a true plague. Their raids meant one thing: enslavement. The Tatars loved capturing people and selling them in slave markets. For the inhabitants of the Commonwealth, it was a living nightmare. When they saw plumes of smoke on the horizon, they knew another wave of invaders was coming. Now imagine, you're a simple farmer who just finished plowing the field, and suddenly hundreds of Tatars storm onto your farm. What do? If you're lucky, you run, but in most cases, you end up in chains. Knowing this was yet another raid, the Polish nobility realized that something had to change. Okay, the Hussars are amazing, but we need more soldiers. And this leads us to the Battle of Hodów. The Battle of Hodów, which took place in 1694, is one of those stories that sounds like a myth, but is absolutely true. Picture this: a few hundred Polish soldiers, including Hussars, standing against, wait for it, 40,000 Tatars. That's not a mistake. The difference in numbers was so staggering it seemed the Poles' fate was sealed. The odds were 100 to 1 in the Tatars' favor. The Poles retreated to the small village of Hodów, where they decided to make their stand with a not one step back mentality. And just to make it more interesting, they had no fortress or walls to protect them. Instead, they built barricades out of wagons. Yep, wagons, like at a medieval party where your only cover is tables and chairs. And this is where the magic begins. The Tatars, confident of victory, charged at the Poles, but our brave soldiers didn't give up. They shot at the Tatars with every weapon they had, defending themselves like lionesses protecting their cubs. And when they ran out of ammunition, they fought with their bare hands, swords, and maybe even shovels if they had them. Their determination was so incredible that the Tatars gave up. Yes, after hours of brutal fighting, the 40,000 Tatars withdrew. Unable to defeat the defenders, the Tatars sent Lipka Tatars, Polish Tatars, to demand their surrender. The Poles refused, and with heavy losses, the Tatars retreated to Kamianets-Podilski, which they occupied at the time. Thanks to this successful defense, further Tatar raids were stopped. In the battle, most defenders were wounded, and dozens were killed, including several ensigns. Konstanty Zahorovsky, who commanded one of the Hussar units, died from his wounds 3 days after the battle, sacrificing his life in defense of Poland. Why couldn't Poland afford to lose? Imagine what would have happened if the Poles had lost this battle. It wasn't just a local skirmish. It was a fight for prestige, and for the Commonwealth to show the world that it was still a force to be reckoned with. If the Tatars had crushed the Polish soldiers at Hodów, it could have encouraged them to carry out further raids. And then, Poland could have become an easy target not just for the Tatars but also for other neighbors who were waiting for the Commonwealth to weaken. And then there's the issue of morale. The Battle of Hodów became a symbol of courage, determination, and the fact that even in the most hopeless situations, Poles could stand their ground. A defeat could have shattered this belief and made the entire Commonwealth doubt its capabilities. What happened at Hodów became legendary. Despite the enemy's overwhelming numerical advantage, the Poles not only defended themselves but forced the Tatars to retreat. Interestingly, This wasn't a battle won through numbers or technology. It was a battle won through determination and cleverness. Polish soldiers showed that even in the most desperate situations, you can win if you have courage. Hodów is often called the Polish Thermopylae. Why? Well, just as there were 300 Spartans, there were only 400 Poles at Hodów, standing against an enemy many times their size, and incredibly they won.
Legend has it that after the battle, Hetman Jabłonowski, the commander of the Polish forces, sent a concise message to King John III Sobieski. "We fought with our heads, we won with our heads," short to the point like a true hussar. Just 4 days after the battle, King John III Sobieski allocated 1,000 zlotys for medicines for the Hussars and Pancerni, Polish heavy cavalry, while Hetman Stanisław Jan Jabłonowski contributed 400 zlotys for the barber surgeon Mikołaj to treat the wounded in the hospital in Złotów. On the 27th of June, the king welcomed the soldiers in Lviv, rewarding them with money and horses. In 1695, Sobieski ordered a monument to be erected in their honor, which still stands today. The Battle of Hodów is one of those moments in Polish history that shows that it's not just the number of soldiers that matters, but also their determination and courage. It was a fight of David versus Goliath that became a permanent part of legend. And while many believe the Poles were just lucky, I'll say this: it wasn't luck. It was pure determination and an incredible fighting spirit. Let me know your thoughts on this topic in the comments, and don't forget to check out my other videos. You can see one of them on the right-hand side right now. I'd be honored if you find it interesting. Thank you also for your comments so far. Among them, I found some truly valuable opinions and insights from incredibly knowledgeable people. It means so much to me that you're here and that I can discuss these topics with you.